Because I'm going to unmute everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hopefully you can hear me. This is the way these Facebook Live things work is that they're about 30 seconds south of where we are actually at the moment. And so it's, excuse me, I'm just going to have to mute everything quickly. There we go, I just muted all my tabs because my voice came back at me. We're about 30 seconds south, so it's not like a webinar or something where you can say, oh, hi, and then give me a hand wave or something, because it just doesn't work. But, today we have with us, as you can probably see on the screen, we've got Paul Lacey. Now, Paul, I've totally nailed this now. I know what I'm doing, right? I'm going to get this right first time. He's there. Look at that. Total confidence. And nails it. Yes. There's Paul Lacey. And do you want to introduce yourself? Give us your elevator pitch, your brand new bird-orientated elevator pitch, maybe?
I haven't thought of one this week.
Oh, for goodness sake.
So I guess I'll just go with a real one. So Paul here from the Dicky Bird Studio. We are a WordPress agency based in the UK. And I'm also a RunCloud brand ambassador.
Sounds very impressive. What do you actually do? What does that involve? Yeah.
So just get paid loads of money, and just basically
I'll do that.
I just have to say this once a week. So
right. I could say that.
$15,000 down.
Kaboom.
If I could always come on, that would be great.
Do you just run after clouds? Is that what it is?
No. I mean, all it is that I'm a RunCloud user. So RunCloud is a panel like Server Pilot, if anyone's heard of that, so that you can manage your own servers. And I started using it just for development servers, and now I've been using it for some edge case projects like websites that I need to host in parts of Europe or America and stuff like that, and then a couple of e-commerce sites where it was just getting too expensive to keep scaling up elsewhere. So really a brand ambassador in my case. I'm called a global brand ambassador, which sounds really impressive. It sounds like I'm a world ruler. But actually what it means is that I've got no location to, organize meetups or anything like that. So it's just a case of, am I happy to promote the concept of cloud-based hosting solutions? And yeah, I am, and I'll happily talk about how we use it. So that's really all I have to do.
Okay. Thanks for joining us on this week's episode of the WP Builds Live News. Unfortunately, we only got to talk about RunCloud. That was good. I actually didn't know what you do, so that's good.
I say it every week, don't I? So I guess I might as well explain what that means. Yeah,
that's good. Yeah. Thank you. With the impressive visual equipment this week down there is Dave Foy. Dave's got a really nice setup. Check him out. It's like super clear, very nice high definition. Dave, I don't think you've been on one of these before.
No, I haven't. Believe me, I've tried.
In which case, please tell us all about you and what you do.
I've tried, and I just don't seem to. I don't know. Somehow, every time I go on it, the calendar's always kind of booked up.
That's right. Yeah. So it didn't.
All these people get on all the time. I just can't seem to manage
these
it.
regulars.
We have a different link.
You have a working link.
Fit me in if you can. I live in a black hole, an actual black hole. This is. They don't ever let me out of this room, so yeah.
It's called Hull.
I teach web designers. I don't actually. I teach non-coders really how to build. What is it? Results-focused websites more quickly and more profitably, or something like that, with Elementor and WordPress.
Yep.
That's my shtick.
That's great. I mean, if you've never checked out Dave Foy's stuff, design, build, web, like Dave does the most amazingly thoughtful, well-produced, like re-edited a billion times, I'll bet, content. So that
first time, first take. All of it.
Yeah. Brilliant stuff, though. I love your videos. Really, really impressive. Yeah, you're welcome. And I'm going to get this right as well. Yes, there he is, Vito Peleg. Vito's not in London. Where are you, Vito?
I'm in Tel Aviv. I've been here, came for a conference last week, and I've been hanging out just to sweat a little bit for a few days until I come back. And I'm flying back today.
Okay. It's hot where you are. It's not so hot where we are. If it's all right with you guys, I'm just going to click a little button and show you what this is all about. WP Build is a podcast. You've probably heard of it before if you're watching this. Please, if you feel like it, go over to this button, subscribe, and subscribe to one of two things. This grey one lets you know about stuff that's coming up, podcasts and this news thing that we do on a Monday. But this one I think might be more important in the weeks to come. This is the deals one, and I send you like a super plain text email with about 4 lines on it as soon as I hear about a deal. And what with Black Friday coming up, just thought that might be worth pushing, so you'll get those as soon as I hear about them. But what we're talking about today is this thing. It's the news archive, and if you click that button there, top left, let me go to that one. Top left will be the one that we're talking about this week, and it's number 80. By the way, I'm not sure if any of you ever do pay attention to this. Paul, possibly. We theme these things with food, right? And this week, I've managed to come across a piece of food called a Romanesco. Has anybody here ever heard of a Romanesco?
It's a lettuce, isn't it? Something like that?
It's like a broccoli, right?
Ah, okay.
But go and find a Romanesco and hold it and look at it and freak out.
It's the pointy ones, isn't it, with like the little diamond shape?
It's like a fractal. It's like the Mandelbrot set
Nice.
in a vegetable. Come on.
Can't be good.
Yeah, it doesn't get much better than that. Right, let's get on with WordPress.
Can I
stuff, shall
segue
we?
just slightly?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen, it just reminded me what you said, have you ever seen a special liquid that's like a metallic liquid, and when you hold a magnet to it, it kind of turns into like a spiky ball? Have you ever seen that?
I did.
A magnetized liquid. So if anyone, like, check that out on YouTube, like magnetized liquid or liquid magnet or something like that. Someone showed it me once. I was absolutely blown away. But it just reminded me when you said about a fractal-based vegetable.
This episode's really going skew whiff, isn't it? Let's get on with it before it's too late. So this is the post, and we're going to take them one at a time. I don't know who's got the first one. It's probably me, to be honest. Yeah, it is. So the first one then is over at it's a Gutenberg thing, so it's probably on WP Tavern. Yes, indeed. It is. It's over on WP Tavern. It's called Gutenberg Team Explores the Future of Full Site Editing with New Prototype. So this is cool. This is Matthias Ventura, and you've got to watch this video. For the life of me, I can't figure out why these WordPress videos don't have controls, like the ability to spin back a minute and whatnot. They don't. You press play and that's it. You've got to watch it till the end. But he shows you basically how Gutenberg is going to become a page builder, how the block editor is going to become a page builder. There's this option to sort of see the layouts. And there's an option here right at the top where you can kind of say, okay, I want to modify the header or the footer or the sidebar. And it's very, very basic. There's a bit like in Elementor with the navigator. You've got this panel here, which you're probably familiar with if you've used Gutenberg. Like I say, he's not trying to say this is what it will look like. He's just trying to say this is what's possible. And I don't know if any of you saw that and thought, blimmin' heck, it's fast developing this. No. You didn't.
Wow.
No, I did.
I watched.
I watched it. It's really interesting to watch the future of this thing.
Yeah.
And we've been having this conversation about Gutenberg for months now. I think we started the conversation saying like it's never gonna last. It's just here for something very, very basic. But from week to week, this thing is evolving really fast. A lot faster than I thought it would.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it's starting to feel like a page builder, and it's got all the, the ability to do those things, and you can kind of feel what the direction of travel is. So anyway, if you've got an interest in that and you want to see where it's going, go check that out because that's really fascinating.
You gotta shoot the entire course now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I'm off. I've got some things to read. It's interesting actually because at the moment the way that page builders fit into WordPress, they've kind of carved a bit of a niche of editing pages and stuff like that. And I think it will be quite a job, I think, to kind of to be able to match that level of functionality in Gutenberg itself. I think a lot of people will still want the power and the flexibility and the customization that that a page builder brings non-coders.
Yeah.
So I think the way that Gutenberg is developing is absolutely the way it should be developing. I think this is the way that WordPress should have been from the start, really. But I think it will appeal to theme developers much more than it will to your kind of regular non-coders. Yeah. I used to use a CMS called Craft CMS for a while before I kind of in and out of WordPress for quite a few years, and Craft was just like this. It was exactly based on what they call blocks, and and it was amazing. But you needed to be a developer or a theme developer to be able to get to get that power out of it.
Mm. Paul, you got anything you want to add?
Yeah, just similar to what Dave said, really, in that it does look really great where it's going now, and it looks like it fits so much better as a front end editor. And it's coming together quickly, but. The only thing I'd say is that I always sort of feel like the Gutenberg project is it's almost like it's not aware that there's solutions that have solved all these problems already, that have solved them really, really well. And so when I see some of the solutions, they look like, Divi from 3 years ago.
At most.
And you just think, take a look at, whether it's Toolset or Elementor or Beaver Builder or Oxygen. They've all sort of solved this full site building problem. And then when I do see the front end editing, it still looks quite intimidating for a typical user, I think. But I'm not sure. So I really great progress though. But I just I'm still always looking at this Gutenberg thing more academically rather than, cool, let's dive in. I'll send this to my clients. They'll be fine with it. Average user.
Yeah, agreed. I don't think we're quite there yet, are we? So, but it's just interesting. If it was a page builder, then it would literally have zero interest. But because it is the editor, it is quite important that that it's done well, and these updates seem to they're playing catch up, aren't they? Basically, Chris Hughes in the comments says he reckons they're sort of 24 months behind Elementor. My guess is that they just don't want to be that. They don't want to have all the options, all the bells and whistles that Elementor and what have you have got. They just need it to serve the 80% of people who use WordPress, which is like 100 million people, and let it do the basic site building and let the third party developers build the blocks.
Because when I was building my clients' websites with Craft, which was based on the same thing, it was brilliant as a developer, because I was basically developing the theme for them. So I could give them all kinds of pre-designed blocks and pre-designed CMS structures that made my life easier because everything stayed consistent. It made their life easier because they could actually play designer a little bit and have little 2-column sections, 3-column sections, and have that control over the whole site. So it was fantastic. But I think the page builder crowd, who are the non-techie, non-coders, not exclusively, but a lot of the people are, that's what's led to the explosion of Beaver Builder and Elementor and others. I think I don't think they should be trying to match that. I'm sure that they're not. I think if they kind of make life easier for the theme developers, then I think it's only a good thing.
And as if by magic, as if the segue couldn't have been much better, let's talk about theme developers, because the next bit that's coming up is actually this one, again, probably on WP Tavern. Let's let it load. Here we go. It is. Sarah Gooding writes about the first look at the 2020 theme, which is based upon a theme called Chaplin. Anders Norén was given the task, I think it was like last week or something, that it was announced that he was going to be doing this. But because he's a super successful theme developer with I don't know how many, I've forgotten the number, but it's a lot of themes with an incredible star rating in the repository, he has decided that he's going to build the new 2020 and base it upon this Chaplin theme, which everybody seems to like very much. And there's some screenshots. So basically this is what you're getting. You're getting this kind of like red by default, and you get this really nice typography. This is the name of the font. It's called Inter, which I confess I've not played with before. But it looks pretty good, have to say. Not really a lot to add, apart from, if you're really keen on themes and theme development and all that, you might want to go and check that out. But anybody, or shall I move on?
I think it looks nice.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, default themes are usually pretty uninspiring. I think this one actually looks quite nice. It actually looks like a coherent theme that you could use if you needed something simple.
Yeah, I agree. It looks really nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially compared to what they had last year. Like the 2019 one it's like 2019 kind of like stepped back to just being a personal blog, while this is understanding that the way WordPress is going, I think with Gutenberg as well, is that it's just full-on website.
Does anybody actually use these default themes that come with WordPress? I mean, actually use them, actually deploy them? No, it's weird, isn't it? I often do wonder who uses them, and obviously there's they're trying to demonstrate what's possible with Gutenberg in this case, but I don't
want you prepare for troubleshooting if there's a problem.
Yeah, good point. All right.
One thing on the design actually I noticed is quite interesting. On the mobile view, they're using, instead of the traditional nav burger, they're using I think what it's called a kebab, the 3 dots.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've never seen someone do that before, actually. To have the 3 dots as the nav icon. It's pushing.
Everybody's going to get lost.
Conventions there.
Pushing conventions, pushing different kind of fast food possibilities as our navigation choices. Right, let's go to the next one. So the next one is, we're still on WordPress core, by the way. This is quite a nice feature for those people who are into their privacy. It's a feature request. It's over at, I think it's make.wordpress.org. Yes, it is. And it's privacy data request form. Now, the idea of this is that in the future, this is coming from the core privacy team, you'll have a kind of like a suite of things available to you, so that if somebody requests their data, you'll have not only a form for them to request it, but you'll have various other things. So there's a sort of list here: PHP functions to generate requests for private data information, a privacy request widget, shortcodes, Gutenberg block. And essentially, if you're any kind of website, what's the point in having a CMS if you're not going to have users, I suppose, to some extent? And you need, by law, to be able to kind of expunge data, hand over data, demonstrate that you're using their data carefully. But at the minute, that whole process is 100% entirely manual. So the idea of this is, well, why not build it right into WordPress core? And so this is a ticket hoping to do that. Don't know if anybody follows privacy particularly closely, but anyway, there you go.
So do you think that this is how is that going to tackle like a third-party data collection? For example, to collect gravity forms or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not really sure, to be honest. The only thing that it says is that there will be, I think, something further down. I think they're going to create a bunch of like hooks and things, and I guess if it says coding standards and documentation. So I'm guessing that the third-party developers will be able to hook into this if it's included in core themselves, so maybe that's the way that they're going around it. But, this is the law. If you've got a government site or something, they're not going to go anywhere near WordPress unless this kind of stuff is at least being thought about. So there you go. Good. Right. Let's go move on to the next one, which is Meta. Oh, dear me. Anybody get hit by this week? This was Chrome 77 deciding to kill Gutenberg. I logged in on, I think it was like Wednesday or something like that, to a website, only to discover that basically all of what we would used to call meta boxes, but they're called advanced options. They live below the content area. All of them were stuck in the middle of the screen. And so you couldn't see the content. And if you scrolled the content scrolled behind the meta boxes. And if you had like 2 or 3 of them, you were done for. Well, you could turn them off. You could toggle them all off. But it's still broken. So the world's biggest CMS has been broken by the world's biggest browser. So I don't know what the fix is for this. Has anybody actually had this problem? Or probably nobody's using it.
I've just checked. I'm on 76 and I'm not moving.
No, don't go for now. I don't know what the update in Chrome was about. I don't know if it was important, but it moved for me. I didn't do anything. And then, broken. But
what can possibly be going on that a browser update can break something like that?
I don't know. Well, the
boxes are just in line in the page.
It's interesting because
weird absolute positioning or something.
Yeah. If you go to Safari, in my case on the Mac, all is well. And apparently if you're on Firefox, all is well. It's just Chrome. Anyway, so getting back to the screen, this chap, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Nderambure. I did just try to pronounce it. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, nice one. He's got this this page up on GitHub where he has identified the problem, and we'll see what happened. But if anybody's got this problem, either switch them off or just use a different browser, because that is in fact a fix. But I also discovered this week that if you go in on Safari, you can't do Command Shift V. You take the styling with you if you copy and paste something. That doesn't work. Just totally doesn't work in Safari. So all of this stuff that I've been used to doing in Chrome's broken. We'll go to Safari. Job done. No, still doesn't work. So there's no perfect solution.
We need to go back to IE6. I thought that was a great browser.
Yeah.
I don't know why anybody moved on from it.
Even 5, I would venture, was a
IE5.
Yeah.
IE5 on the Mac, I thought was a particular
the chestnut.
high point.
Do you remember having to write all those CSS, the different ways of doing CSS for Internet Explorer 6 and below and 7 and below? Oh, yeah. And it was so horrible. You new guys who are like 30 and younger, you don't know how easy it is.
I was looking for Netscape.
Yeah, Netscape. i6 was better than Netscape, wasn't it? But did anyone have to use the pi.htc PNG fixer?
Yes.
Yeah. For the transparency.
Yeah,
exactly.
To get the transparency.
Yeah.
That's right. In IE6.
Oh, those are the days.
Imagine the joy. Yeah. It was either that or just use tables and line everything up absolutely perfectly and create the images flat with their transparency, pretend transparency.
Yeah.
Oh, what fun.
Happy days.
Yeah, indeed. Happy days. Right,
This is why when I see people on Facebook groups like, I don't know, the Elementor Facebook group or anything, in fact, pick one, and people complain about, kind of like a minor feature that isn't there or something's, I just think, you don't know. You don't know what you've got, honestly.
It's so easy these days. Right, that's all we got for community. So I'll talk briefly about these. Please interrupt me if you want to go on about any of these. The first one is this is basically just saying WordCamp Europe in 2020 are now kind of starting to put out some material. Look at that place. Oh, that's going to be nice. And they're starting to put out some materials, and basically go and subscribe, fill out this box, and get yourself.
We found someone that is using the native theme.
Oh yeah, that's right. Look, yeah, there we go. We found. Yeah, well, I suppose if anyone was going to, it was going to be a WordCamp, wasn't it? So yeah, I think you're right. But go and join that. The other thing, which is kind of like a bit of a personal thing, is that speaking of WordCamp Europe, I don't know if I have mentioned this before. Me and Dan Maybe and I don't know what the right thing to say is. We're cycling from Berlin to Porto, which is the destination of the new one. It's it's starting to hurt my legs, shall we say. And Carol Ollinger has been brought onto our team to enable us to do it, because it turns out that this is actually quite a big organisational thing. And so Carol Ollinger, there she is with her dog. She's very much into dogs. She's come on the WP and Up team this week, and she's going to be doing all things to do with this bike ride. So if you've got any ideas or you've got any novel ways of, I don't know, raising sponsorship or something like that, then reach out to her.
I'm definitely going this year as well. So
are you?
I'll be there at the finish line, Nathan, to massage you.
No. You see, the likelihood is I won't be there at the finish line. I'll have fallen off some way before. I actually had a piece of fairly alarming news this week, in that one of my friends was knocked off his bike during the course of this week, cycling around in London, and has broken a bunch of ribs. And it was a real moment of thought, just thinking, right. So one of Carol's jobs is to actually prepare a route where we go on as few roads as possible. So in order to keep us onto cycle paths where possible, because I don't want to have broken ribs, Dave. I don't want to have broken ribs.
It's gonna be like a car following you guys.
Yeah, hopefully, all things being equal. Well, there's more to announce on that. But anyway, there you go. That's the little bit of news. What else have we got? I'm not going to talk about this, but Nexus and Liquid Web have partnered together, and a guy called Richard Best has released a free guide to GPL. The GPL, apparently he had this as like a paid thing that you could purchase, and he's now released it. WP Tavern write about it, and if you're not understanding the GPL, which is the basis upon which everything you do is based, if you're into WordPress, then this is a free guide and a free audio book which explains how that all works. All right. Okay. I'm sorry if I've gone through any of those and anybody wanted to take those ones. Did you want to take that one about the free ebook, Paul?
No, I just thought it was going to be useful for anyone who has that conversation with a client. I mean, I'm obviously talking from an agency or freelancer type of point of view here. But, you know, if you've ever had an email where you're doing a project and then the legal team gets involved and they say that they want to own absolutely everything.
Yep.
You know, it's just like a statement that, this, you know, you're deep into the project and suddenly, there's a little glitch. We can't release payment until we own everything. And you're like, no, how do I explain this? It feels like that this would be a useful thing to put in a contract, just a simple link to the guide. So that when someone signs off on a new project with you, that they're signing off on that they understand what WordPress is and what the GPL is, and that there's a nice guide fully explaining it for you.
Yeah.
I was kind of looking at it from a product developer point of view because there's a lot of question marks around this subject when it comes to developing products. So you can read the GPL license, but there's just so much noise out there, and nothing is like self-explanatory or like straight to the point. So I haven't read it yet, but I'm definitely gonna dive into it because I've done a lot of research around the GPL recently, and I couldn't find like a solid resource to give me the knowledge that I wanted from that point of view. So I'm hoping that this will be it.
We ran a great story last week. Sorry to hark back to last week, but it was about Oxygen, the sort of, well, I'm going to say page builder, about the fact that they've gone GPL, and Paul discovered that they'd gone GPL because they'd sponsored a golf hole in a golf tournament. What was the story again?
It was in the Facebook thread. So Lewis of Oxygen had sponsored a golf hole at a WordPress event, and then found out that you couldn't be a sponsor if you didn't have a GPL product.
Yeah.
So he didn't want to withdraw the sponsorship from the event because he wanted to help out the event. So the easiest way around it was to just update his policy and just say his product was GPL now.
That's so cool. That's such a great story. Awesome. Why did you go GPL? Where's golf? It's all about golf. Right, we're going to move over to plugins and things. We've got quite a long list here. And I know that Paul wants to take a few. Who's doing red one? Is that you, Dave? You're going to do the elemental one?
Yeah, I'm the weird pink colour, yeah.
That's great. Okay, great. So the first one is Views 3 beta. So this is the guys at Toolset. I don't know if you met up with them this week.
I tried, but they weren't there. They weren't at the conference, surprisingly. I was hoping to meet Amir again.
Yeah, well, Amir has released, Amir's posted this blog post about the fact that you can now integrate a whole load of the capabilities of views inside the editor. And this video is really, it just explains it really perfectly. So I would suggest you go and watch that. I can't remember, it's like 4.5 minutes or something. But basically you can now, instead of having to sort of like flip to and from the interface, which is what you would traditionally do with a plugin like this. So imagine something like ACF or something. You have to do everything over in ACF and then come back to the page. Well, now you can create the views inside the block editor using this interface. You can also do the custom searches. So you might have come across like faceted searching, things like Search and Filter Pro and Facet WP. Well, Toolset can do that as well, and you can build all of that in there. You can add the sorting and so on, and then you've got these kind of pagination controls. You can do the conditional display, and then you've got these kind of like container blocks where you can change one and all the others mirror the exact same style. So you make this red and all the other ones go red as well. Basically, it's just a really nice implementation, and the fact that all of it is capable inside the block, the block editor, seems pretty cool to me.
Yeah, what a time to be alive.
Yeah. It's interesting, eh?
Yeah, and seriously, it's just absolutely incredible.
This kind of stuff was unimaginable. I mean, it was never difficult. You just flip out. I always opened it in a new tab, saved it, went back, refreshed, and blah blah blah. But now you can do it all without the need to do that nonsense. So that's quite nice. Right, the next.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I've been using Toolset for years now, and I love this tool.
Yep.
But we wrote everything in raw code for even up until now. So like everything was HTML and considering like responsiveness and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that this is going to be a huge time saver, just building it up like this.
Yeah, if you've never used Toolset, it is quite. It's not point and click, is it? It's kind of like point click type kind of solution where you have to nest things and put the appropriate HTML and there's a bit of a learning curve, but maybe this will take a lot of that away, and things like the filtering and the searching will be capable now inside the block editor, and they're one of the guys that've got the whole thing. They've got everything under one roof, so we'll see how that develops. The other one I think we've done, Paul, this was the one about the GPL. I thought it was last week, but we've done that story. If you scroll right to the bottom of this page, you'll see that Oxygen has in fact gone GPL. There it is, version 2. So that's quite nice. This is interesting. This is a plugin that's been released by the guys over at Groundhog, who have their kind of like email marketing plugin where you can do all sorts of complex MailChimp-like active campaign-like stuff, but within WordPress. They've released this plugin which basically creates this thing. This little chat widget down at the bottom, and these are the steps. You basically got to install the plugin, link it up to Facebook, and log into the admin, and that's it. Copy and paste some sort of stuff over. So it takes about 4 seconds, and very nice.
Theme.
Yeah. Well, you can see, they want it to be nice and quick. They don't want to waste any time on the website. Just crack on. Let's get this thing. But that's quite a nice solution if you need some sort of chat widget, and everybody's logged into Facebook all the time, aren't they? So that seems like a fairly good idea. And what else have we got? We've got a new era for the Genesis framework. And Paul, you're taking this one. It is over on Carrie Dill's website. Carrie Dill's being a real proper developer for Genesis going back years and years. So Paul, shall I hand it over to you?
Yeah, she technically taught me how to use Genesis with what's that learning thing? Not Udemy, the other famous one.
Linda.
Yeah, Linda. Yeah, she Carrie Dills does the lynda.com Genesis course, which is really cool. Actually, it really gives you an insight into how it all works. But this is a year after the acquisition, so I guess she summarizes at the end. She's just kind of talking about some of the new things that have happened over the year. And I think if you're a kind of shiny object type person, you're not going to find anything particularly exciting in here. But if you are a long-term Genesis user, then you will probably you'll be fairly satisfied that it's just continuing to look at what it needs to do to stay as a relevant long-term tool for everybody. So, it's not the most exciting tool to look at. It doesn't do any visual things, particularly out of the box as a theme, but it's outlived so many other themes that have come and gone before it. So she finishes it off. She says, Genesis is not dead, far from it. And then kind of summarizes how she feels about it's going to move into the future. So if you're a Genesis user, then it's worth a look. If you're not a Genesis user and you're kind of using other tools, then it's just worth a look anyway, just to go and see what tends to be the lifestyle of a long-term tool within the WordPress space.
It's gone through a few hands, hasn't it? Currently, one set of hands. It's currently owned by WP Engine, who seem to be pushing it fairly aggressively, actually. And obviously, they've got a
full-time team on it now, whereas before it was a part-time team.
Yeah,
I'm really pleased about that, actually, because Genesis was, for a time, Genesis was probably the only viable theme that you could use if you didn't want one of the kind of all-in-one, multi-purpose type things. It was just really simple, really clean. The hooks were just, perfect for doing whatever you wanted. And it was actually the kind of like the demise of Genesis happening, or the fact it just seemed to have just been left to rot a little bit for a while. And kind of how Tom from Generate Press seemed to have kind of taken it seemed to be very kind of Genesis-y, but with the more kind of easy to use features with the hooks and stuff. So I'm really pleased actually they're doing something with Genesis, because it was in its time just the theme I think that a serious developer would have turned to.
Yep. Well, it's nice that it's been updated anyway, so that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, next one is over on Restrict Content Pro. I have to say, I'm really ignorant of this because I don't really involve myself with e-commerce. The reason I put this article in is nothing to do with Restrict Content Pro necessarily. It's because I keep seeing SCA compliance in like loads of my emails from all sorts of WordPress companies saying we are now SCA compliant, and it's this thing, strong customer authentication update, and I don't really understand it, so I'm kind of hoping that one of you has a slight angle on it if you've built anything requiring it or understand what it means. I know about this. Okay.
Yeah, I contacted Thrivecart and said, are you gonna have this SCA compliance? And they said yes.
Right.
That's it.
That's that's all we needed to know. So
I'm all right.
Is it? I mean, what is it though? Is it some kind of? Is it that thing where you have to sort of input extra data when you like bounce out of your credit card? You put the transaction through, and then it asks you some more details over
that's
at what
the 3D
looks like
thing,
your
isn't
bank.
it? I think that's the alternative to it. I think that's one way of being compliant, but I could be wrong about this because this whole SCA thing feels like GDPR, but with no warning. It feels like GDPR, we knew about it for 5 years, and then SCA, the first I heard about it was a WP Crafter video with a big red background saying something on it, and I was like, what is that? Oh, it's something for America, surely. It's nothing for me. It turns out it's a European thing.
Yeah.
And now I'm getting emails from my clients, and they're like, we've got a message in our dashboard or in our Stripe account, we need to do this. I'm like, Googling it,
Yeah.
Professional, obviously.
I looked at this a little deeper, and I actually I had a meeting with Vova yesterday. Was Vova on the blog, on the news as well sometime?
No, I don't think so.
I had a meeting with him about this, and he needs to fix it on his side because he has a checkout process. So for us, it was a matter of emailing EDD and asking them, like Dave said, are you going to sort this out? But he kind of clarified the whole thing for me a little more. Basically, it's going to create nightmares for all of us for the upcoming year. Good thing for us for us in the UK is that they delayed it, from what I've heard, for like a year. So it's not going to be affecting us straight up. But essentially, it means that if you have any subscriptions that are running, that's the one leg of it. If you have any subscriptions that are running, prepare for having them canceled or breaking all throughout the upcoming year, mostly because the card companies haven't updated things yet on their side. So the tools are updating this. The law will be out there, but the cards will take a lot longer to update. So if there are any renewals, you're going to see them breaking. So
right.
Start creating automations around that. Basically, that's what I would do.
Wow, so this is actually quite a major piece of news. I really didn't understand it. Ryan Dewhurst, who's from WP Scanners, dropped in a comment saying Stripe are requiring it. I presume by that he means that in order for a transaction to be authenticated successfully through Stripe, you're going to have to go through whatever this additional step was. It looks like I need to, as somebody who doesn't implement e-commerce anywhere really, I can kind of ignore this, but it looks like if you are in any way, shape or form collecting money over the internet, especially if you're doing that in Europe, you need to make sure that whatever you're using is SCA compliant. For example, Restrict Content Pro. But if I've had a dozen, I've had 100 emails this week saying we are now SCA compliant. So that's the reason. That's the only reason I put that article in. So, okay. The next one then is going to be about Elementor. It's this one here. This is a nice... Well, actually, we've got a couple of Elementor-y ones. We'll lead with the actual Elementor one first, which is over here. This is all about.
I'll be back in 5 minutes, guys.
Oh, okay, no worries. This is all about. Oh, I see. Dave's, yeah. So, Dave, tell us about these fancy backgrounds and whatnot.
There's not a lot to tell apart from it's just another really nice little feature. I've often found with the slideshows that it's fine if you've got them in a container within columns and things like that, because it's that's generally how kind of slideshows work. But they've been missing this full background slideshow thing for quite some time now. So if you've needed that, you kind of hero header at the top of the screen and like a slideshow kind of moving backwards and forwards, they've not had that, so you've had to kind of turn to third-party plugins, and they've just introduced that feature. There's quite a bit more to it, actually. There's a lot of, like with a lot of Elementor stuff, they don't kind of assume that you're going to use the tools in any one given way. So there's just the usual full set of controls, so you can get quite creative with it. But it's just another nice little design feature. They seem to focus a lot on much more kind of like marketing related updates for a while.
Yeah.
But they seem to kind of move now to the nice fancy little design touches.
Yeah.
The dividers and stuff are great as well. There's plenty of times in the past where, I've had to then for a nice, fancy graphical divider, I've had to find a vector or something instead to use. But it's just nice, just nice, easy development. There's talk of one of the next updates, I think, to Elementor Pro, which will be coming next, of adding in some much needed global styling controls, which for me would be far more useful than fancy dividers. But I think I've got a feeling that they're working on that, because it's a gaping hole in Elementor at the moment.
It is.
The ability to manage typography and padding, spacing generally, and colors. What Elementor provide themselves at the moment is woefully inadequate, and so you have to use your themes customizer to set those things up.
Right.
But the customizer can only kind of touch certain parts of Elementor. Elementor tend to override stuff that you set in your customizer anyway, which is annoying quite a lot of the time. So I think that kind of stuff is coming next, and I think the lovely little visual touches and stuff are great, but I think those kind of like workflow related features are kind of much needed. So
okay, that's great. Thanks, Dave.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So what have we got? Background
Actually,
slideshows.
I heard from Ariel that it is exactly this is coming in one of the upcoming updates. Global CSS, global settings, global typography, all of these kind of items are it's in the works.
Yeah, there is a plugin out there, Style Kits. Style Kits for Elementor is amazing. I mean, it's developed by my friend John Frascos, who is just an incredible designer, and he's been developing the Style Kits plugin, which I'm going off on a tangent now, but he does an amazing job of handling this global stuff. So I kind of think it'll be the typical thing where if Elementor bring this in, I think it will probably still only go so far, and you probably still need some third-party plugin to kind of give you all of that functionality. But we'll see. They develop so quickly that one day to the next things can change dramatically. So let's watch what makes all this fun.
Dave Foy is the master of the segue today, because check him out. Do the ba-choom thing again with your hands. Yeah, whatever that was. Because, look at this. The next thing is actually all about an Ultimate Addons.
Nice.
I don't know whether to call this an extension. What is the technical terminology in Elementor? Is this a module? Is this an extension? I don't know.
No, it's just an add-on.
An add-on.
A widget.
Okay.
So
the name's a bit of a giveaway, isn't it? It says Ultimate Addons for Elementor. Tell us about this one if you've spied it.
Yeah, I've spied it. Ultimate Addons. I mean, there are is it tens and tens and probably hundreds of add-on packs for Elementor, and there are some very specific ones which do a great job, but there are lots and lots of these which are just like a full suite of widgets, and a lot of the time it's like if you've kind of got to buy the whole suite just for that one bit of functionality that you might need. But I'd say there are two of them that I would always recommend to anybody. One of them is Elementor Extras. Elementor Extras is just so well done, and Ultimate Addons is great as well. And yeah, this Retina image widget just does what it says, really. It just gives you an alternative to the standard image widget, where you can set a Retina version of the image and the original resolution of the image as well, which is quite handy.
Yeah,
because you don't
nice.
get that in the default image widget. So
nice little update. That's interesting what you say about Elementor itself and the need for sort of global styling options. That's interesting. Okay, let's go back over here and have a look. What have we got next? Google releases a lazy load plugin for WordPress. So it turns out that Google are taking on the job within the browser of lazy loading images in the future. But WordPress itself in core doesn't have this capability. So Google have written a plugin to take this on. So basically it's available now. It's called Native Lazy Loading in the browser. No, it's not. It's called Native Lazy Load. And you can go and download it, put it on your site, and it will cross the bridge. My guess is that at some point very soon.
Network?
What's that? Vito, did you just say something? No,
we've lost him.
No, I think he's probably muted his microphone and talking to somebody else. So this one enables you to sort of cross that bridge until WordPress ships that in core. But install it if it's important to you. There's a load of third-party extensions that'll do this, but presumably doing it via the browser will have less trips back and forth and so on, and it'll just request things in a much more.
Is that just for Chrome then?
Yeah, I think so. Google's Chrome browser, number 76.
So why wouldn't you just use like a lazy load plugin which handles all the images on all browsers?
Because there is some sort of trade-off in terms of speed. It actually does explain it here.
Okay.
Lazy loading has for a long time not been a switch you can just toggle on or off. It is not a browser feature, so it typically required loading and running custom JavaScript to make it work. Unfortunately, JavaScript is an expensive resource, so basically it's going to obviate that problem. It's going to make things, Google's in mission always just to make things load quicker. So that's why you've got less libraries, less stuff to load on the page, less JavaScript, and it'll just handle it in the browser. I think that's.
Well, then if you turned off your JavaScript-based lazy loading, then you're going to have non-lazy loading plugins in all the other browsers, aren't you, then, in that case?
Yeah, well, so it's now shipping in Chrome, but you need the website to be configured to work with it, and so WordPress core doesn't have it. So this just bridges the gap. Probably in the next point release of WordPress, that is a good thumb you've got there, Paul. In the next point release, he's trying that focusing trick that I taught him earlier. In the next point release of WordPress, I'm sure that they'll ship with something like this. So anyway, we'll see. Let's move.
It's an trailblazing thing. Like Google have invented this, and then like all the other browsers will probably just go, okay, we'll do it too.
Yeah.
And then it will make more sense to not have the plugins anymore and have the JavaScript loading as scripts, and you can save that bit of resource.
If it was a default browser feature, then I can really see the benefit.
Yeah. Chris Hughes makes the point, and Andrew Palmer, Jetpack's got lazy loading in it. So have things like Smush and Smush, I think. WP Rocket certainly do. All the caching plugins kind of have something like this built in. But that feature will be obsolete within a short space of time. It won't be something that they can pitch to you as a feature, because it will just be expected and standard. So next couple are to do with Beaver Team. We're on to Beaver Builder for a minute. Tom from Beaver Team has released an update. Unfortunately, Tom never puts in his emails until I asked him to. He never put a web version, so I had to create a note in Evernote of his email. He's put Z-indexing in, which was sadly lacking in Beaver Builder. So now you can Z-index if you've got Beaver Team
Dave.
Pro. I know. But now it works. Now it works, and it works very effectively. And he's also updated his sort of sticky columns thing, and there've been updates to his A/B split testing platform, which is called Split. I've forgotten what it's called, but he's got split testing as well inside Beaver Builder, all done inside Beaver Builder with his little add-on plugin. So that's one
really
thing.
Cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
Split test each row.
Yeah, anything. You can split
cool.
test anything. You could do button, image, piece of text, link, whatever you want. It's incredible. Or at least that's how I remember it. I haven't used it for a while. And then the other one is this one, which is a company called Tangible Plugins. And I just thought I'd mention this because Chris Badgett sent out an email to his subscriber list saying that Lifter LMS, which is a learning management system platform, they've now got this third-party solution to style everything with Elementor, so hence Lifter Elements. It's in beta at the moment, but you can basically style all of it. But what got me really interested wasn't that, because obviously if you're a Lifter user, an Elementor user, this is going to be great. It was when I sort of hovered over here and went, what was it? I can't remember what link I clicked on. Maybe it's right at the beginning. Yeah, products. Here we are. Turns out this company that I've never heard of do Beaver Builder Learn Dash. They do Member Press, I think it is, as well. So they've got all these different platforms where they take over the styling depending on what page builder you've got and what plugin you're using for memberships and so on. So I just thought it was worth a bit of a shout out to them and just to sort of say, yeah, good, nice one, like it. What else have we got? Did you want to talk about the Beaver Team thing, Paul? Sorry, I kind of talked over you there. No,
it was just to say what Beaver Team is like, similar to that thing Dave was talking about with, is it Element? I can't remember but the plugin that Beaver Team plugin, it sort of plugs a lot of gaps in Beaver Builder, especially workflow type stuff. So things like global stuff, sticky columns, like this A/B split testing is another add-on that I've done. So it's just another one of those. If you are using Beaver Builder, it's a pretty cool set of plugins that adds a bunch of modules and new settings, things that you really want usually from Beaver Builder that they haven't potentially done yet. So Z-Index is one that a lot of people have been adding for. So even in his newsletter, he kind of makes a joke out of it, puts it in capitals, uppercase. Z-Index plugin, someone had to do it. And so he's just decided, if they're not going to do it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, so, good on him. Good on him. I'm gonna add in from now on very quickly. I'm not even gonna talk about them particularly. I'm gonna put in deals that I come across during the week, like if somebody's knocked some cash off their thing. So here they are, very quickly. Relay that is quite a cool SaaS product where you can create featured images and then just replicate that process, thereby saving a whole bunch of time. It's on AppSumo at the minute. There's a course about ACF and building Gutenberg blocks with ACF. It's the JavaScript for WP guys. So this is Zach Gordon. It's down from 79 to 49. And lastly, Ocean WP, which is a very popular WordPress theme, has got 50% off. I mean, 50% off. That's not to be sniffed at, is it? I don't know when that lasts until, but the code is in the show notes. So OWP 50 off. But if you click on that link, they are affiliate links, I think. So just be careful, I'm not going to do the WordFence news, but there was some WordFence news. They do this weekly kind of like update. There are all the vulnerabilities. If you're into news, just click on it and go check it out. But I am going to dwell on this one, or at least I think somebody is. Is it you, Paul? Did you want to talk about this lovely Twitter feed?
Yeah, it's really funny. It's just worth clicking on it and taking a look through some of the... I mean, what they do is they go through and find companies that have got really ridiculous password rules. So, create a new account or change your password. Sorry, your password must have only 6 characters, must begin with a number.
It's great.
Yeah, somewhere in here, they've got a GitHub link in a lot of their tweets. If you go to the GitHub link, you can see almost like an indexed directory of all the ones I found, and it's quite worrying because there's some major banks in there. Apple are in there, and it's kind of showing you where there's specific rules around passwords that their sign-up pages tell potential hackers a kind of framework to work within to try and hack this password. So it's going to be between 8 and 12 characters, and it's going to start with a number.
Yeah.
So
Ryan Dewhurst, who was listening to this earlier, I don't know if he is anymore, but he would probably have something to say about this. Dumb password rules. I mean, basically, the more data you give away about anything, the more likely it is that somebody's going to figure out how to do it. So if you tell people it's got to be 8 characters, well, that's it. You've just like given them so much information about brute forcing it and what things to try, and you try rainbow tables and a dictionary based attack and all these kind of things, and off you go. But anyway, just a litany of absolute fails. My favourite failure in terms of security was one that I got through the post the other day. It was about 6 months ago or something, and it was for voting. It was for my vote, right? So my actual vote in some kind of UK election, and it had written on it. It had my first whatever it was that I needed to log in, and then directly beneath it was the other one. So it was basically like giving me my username and password all on the same letter, mailed through the post. And you just sort of think, no, like, don't give me the second one. All right, give me the first one, that's fine, but don't give me the second one. Absolutely brilliant. There you go, UK government at its best.
Check out on YouTube, Spaceballs password scene. For anyone who's not seen it, just go and check it out. Spaceballs password scene.
I am not going to put that on just in case something freaky happens.
Not rude. It's not rude.
No,
it's just
it's
funny.
Okay. Apparently, you get takedown notices, don't you, on YouTube if you put like videos on and they've got like even a sliver of music in. So I've got to be very careful about that kind of stuff. However, I will show you these 3 things. They're all WP Builds related. It's blatant self-promotion. Here we go. Me and David Wormsley put out an episode this week called "Should We Use Templates More?" Unbelievably, Andrew Palmer got in touch and said yes, he thinks that we should use templates more, because of course he has Page Builder Cloud, and yes, I think we concluded we should use templates more. We're in the Page Builder era, but that's what we talk about. Also, I did a contribute episode. I haven't done one of these in ages. This was with Paul Kress, and he talked about how you can use Adobe Spark to create your images online. It's a dead cool tool. And then we had put your fingers in your ears, Vito. We had a nice long Project Huddle webinar. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Project Huddle webinar where we talked to Andre Gagnon about the Project Huddle platform. He showed what it was capable of and some of the new features that he's added in. Plus, he's also offering until the 20th of September. He's offering 25% off, but you got to go. And click on the link in the show notes. We'll take you to this page, and then you can press on this link and you can get that auto applied. Whew, there we go. 2 jobs. If you fancy working with Gatsby, they've got a WordPress software engineer job, and if you fancy being a WordPress developer full-time but remotely, RT Camp have got a job there. And we're nearly out of time. Shall I crack on with the non-WordPressy stuff, or are you all keen to get going?
I'm all right. I'm just stuck in this dark room.
It's you've got no. How about you, Vito? Are you all right for the plane?
Is that what the hole looks like?
This is it.
If that was a black hole, you'd be very, very small.
Is that all the smog?
I'm actually in the city centre at the moment.
Yeah.
Just stood in the street. Yeah.
The great piece, black tarpaulin held up.
It's all black
by some big, tall bloke. Okay, in which case we will go on to these very quickly. This one's all about no follow links. Do you know what? It's amazing. It doesn't matter how long you've been in this business, there's stuff you don't know. I mean, obviously I've used no follow links, but I didn't realise that search engines could basically completely ignore it. Now we've got some new capabilities. We've got straight from Google, because this is on the Webmaster blog, we've got the opportunity to use rel sponsored, and you're going to use that if you've got sponsored content, which I think is quite cool, because at least, if it's sponsored content, that does weigh differently about whether it should be attributed back to you or not. You've got rel UGC, which stands for user generated content. So this would be like perfect for like forums or comment fields. So, okay, it's on my website, but it's got nothing to do with me. Some bloke randomly posted that piece of content, and then you can fall back on the old no follow. And that's where you want to link to a page, but don't want to imply any type of real endorsement. So there you go. I didn't know those things were possible, and now they are. I think those 2 at the top are new, but it's quite interesting that is now a thing. Mm-hmm. Anybody on that? Nope. Nope. All right. In which case, Uptime Robot. Anybody use Uptime Robot?
No, I've not heard of it.
I use it all the time. In fact, I think I've got a load of my sites on Uptime Robot. Uptime Robot's a service where you basically tell it. It's free. It's like 50 sites for absolutely no money whatsoever.
Wow.
And it pings them every 5 minutes and sends you an email. It links into my main WP install. So you literally get a widget inside the dashboard of main WP, which just sucks data out of Uptime Robot. But what it does is their service pings your website, and if it goes down, they send you an email. But they've decided to flip the switch, and they're saying, well, what if you've got like a computer in your office that's got nothing to do with like having a website on it, but you want that to be up all the time? Maybe it's got like, I don't know, it's some sort of VPN capabilities, or you got staff logging into it. So you install a bit of software on that computer, and it pings Uptime Robot, so it's back to front. And if Uptime Robots stop hearing from it, they then email you and say, you've got a problem with your computer. So this could be great for like intranets and stuff. Can't see myself using it, to be honest, but dead useful. And
Has Vito froze, guys?
Go on, say again.
Has Vito froze?
I don't know.
You guys?
I can't. No. I'm not looking, actually. Let me have a look.
He's having a moment.
Or did you just... Was it the Uptime Robot?
That's right. That's what it is. The Uptime Robot story was simply too much for him. I don't know what to do about that. I think we'll just wait. Maybe he'll dial in a moment. We're very near the end. And the very last one, look, now it's mucked up all my stuff. Look, I have to go for that one now, look, and take all the things away. And last but by no means least, we have got this piece of nice news, which is just to say that Let's Encrypt is now issuing certificates for 30% of web domains, which I just think is really cool. Step back 2 years in time, I think the vast majority of people still had unencrypted connections, and now, thanks to Let's Encrypt, it comes with its problems. Let's be honest, it is spoofable and it's not perfect, but it's a whole heck of a lot better than we had before. So there you go. That's all I got. Thank you.
Awesome. GoDaddy, GoDaddy in that list of where are GoDaddy in that list there?
GoDaddy are nowhere to be seen. It's interesting. Let's Encrypt 47.2 million sites. Digicert, amazing. Digicert 28.8. He's back. Look, Vito's back. Yeah. 28.9 million. Komodo. Then it just drops off. Komodo 13. I used to buy things from Komodo, and it was always a right old faff. Just speaking to people, and it was just email exchange and telephone conversations left, right, and centre. But anyway, there you go. That's all I got. Yeah. Ryan Dewhurst has been making some nice comments. He's going back to, I don't know what, some websites ban common weak passwords when registering. Oh, he's talking about the Twitter feed. You can use an error message when trying to register with a weak password to build a list of the passwords the website does not allow. Interesting. You can then exclude those passwords from your attack, making your attack more efficient. Ryan is a mine of information about WP security. WP Scan is his website, and that's fascinating. Right, we do this thing at the end, guys, where you get a bit of self-promotion. I'm just going to say...
about Todd.
Vito.
What wanted to post about Todd?
Yeah.
Sorry. Apologies. Yeah, there was a bit that somebody added that I've failed to remember. Who was going to do that?
Me and Vito have put one down in the list.
Perfect.
Yeah, so I don't know if I don't see that he's watching today, but friend of lots of us here in WP Builds, Todd E. Jones, has launched a product. I think it's his first product. If you go to copyflight.com and then click on the link that says agencies, I think this is where you can find it at the moment if you're not subscribed to his mailing list. So I think that he's released it to his mailing list first, but it's called the Website Copy Framework. And if you go to the page, wow, there is a really handsome guy on the testimonial on there.
Whoa.
Sorry, I'm just distracted.
Hold on a minute. Let's have a look. What's it called? Copyflight. Is this a situation where here's yet another website where you see Paul Lacey on the?
It's a few. It's only a few. It's just.
No, there. Paul, anyway, can I just say though, you never don't have a cap. So what's going on?
Don't know. That's the only good photo I got without a cap. Actually, I also used Photoshop to make my head slightly thinner before I. I know, because I looked a bit too fat in it. So anyway, the reason my testimonial was there was because what happened was I actually downloaded some of his free resources from the different emails over the last year, and I started using them. I actually used one for an emergency client meeting situation where I'd said I'd help them with some content, but had no idea really how to do that. And I had like a framework for his about page framework, and I used it in a meeting, recorded it with a dictaphone, and then we transcribed it, and then we were able to create a really good about page for them. And I kept telling him on chat, maybe you should put all these different resources together and release them at some point. And then so that was a while ago, and then he did do that, and then he kept me in the loop of how it was going and stuff. And so the resources are really, really good. So if you're like a developer or a designer and you want to actually start doing some copywriting, but you don't necessarily want to do a whole course on it, but you want some kind of markers to help you, then that's what the website copy framework does. And I don't know how much it costs, but it's probably I think it's around $47 or something. But as far as I know, if you go to the website at the moment, click on the agencies link, sign up for the email box, you'll probably get the next link when it's released to outside of the mailing list. But super good resources. Todd really knows how to write a good story when it comes to content. And that's what it helped me with in the meeting, and also with the new Dicky Birds website that we're perpetually working on, trying to write some of the pages and service pages. And I don't know, I'm just not a copywriter, so I just don't know what direction to come from. So it's just really, really helpful.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. And I'm sorry that I forgot that you wanted to mention that. What else have we got? Vito, can we do your bit at the end when it's your go? Is that all right? And we'll do Dave's as well. So we'll take it in turns. So Paul, your chance. Anything happening this week? Any self-promotion? Any book you're reading? Anything? Whatever you like.
All right. Nothing work or WordPress related, really. I haven't really thought about the week too much yet, but I'm playing a really good computer game called The Unavowed, which is by a company called Widget Games, or I don't really know how to say it, but it's an old school like Monkey Island, Indiana Jones type point and click adventure, and I'm a big fan of the company that made that particular game, so I've got right into that, and I was playing it till 11 o'clock a.m. this morning, as in like I got up and then I started playing it before work. So
I was going to say that is a marathon, mate.
No, well, yeah, I got up first and then started playing it. Well, I haven't really done much work today, so to be honest, the week starts after this podcast.
I should write that down somewhere. The week starts after this podcast. It won't. You know it. As soon as you're finished on this, you're going straight back to that game. Just admit it, confess, tell us the truth. Okay, that's cool. Enjoyable new game. My son's playing a game called something like Hello Neighbor, which he's got really into on the Xbox. You have to I think it's like burgling your next door neighbor's house. I don't do gaming. Good
parenting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's perfect. I think our real next door neighbours have got some fairly good stuff as well. So, Dave wants to talk to us. Oh, yeah, of course. Dave, your No Stress WordPress. Tell us what's going on.
It's only really quick. The reason why I'm in this studio setup is because I'm mired in making a course at the minute. So it's kind of my No Stress WordPress 2.0 course will be coming out fairly soon. I think about the next 3 weeks.
Okay.
I've had it on. I did like a pre-sale thing a couple of months back. So I've got loads of students kind of going through it with me as I build it at the moment, and the feedback has been fantastic. Right, really, really. In fact, the course has kind of developed as I've gone along, which we've ended up with this amazing kind of like Elementor layout system that I didn't even realize that we needed. But I think it's turning out to be the kind of course where each module could be a course in of itself, really, because I think there really is so much value. So it will be coming out on sale to the public fairly soon in the next few weeks. Okay. And I don't know if you can put that link to the sign up page on there anywhere, Nathan, but
I can't. I will do when I'll go and re-edit the post after this.
Yeah, it's not. But it's nostresswp.co, and you can sign up to be notified. So
no stress WP, no hyphens, no underscores or anything like that. No stress WP.co if you want to catch Dave Foy's. And like I was saying at the beginning, Dave is a total. Like, it's so easy to say that, right? The word rolls off your tongue. Your videos are the best, mate, without a doubt. You are really,
Thank you.
really good at it. I want to be like Dave when I'm older.
I take on all the stress.
Yeah, yeah, indeed, yeah.
They don't have to.
Right, and then Vito. Obviously, Vito we know is from WP Feedback, a tool for keeping in touch with your clients. You got some news from this week, or any developments, any stuff happening?
Yeah, well, we're doing stuff every single week, but this week and next week we have some really substantial stuff coming in. So we've done a bit of a showcase ourselves about the upcoming central dashboard and how that's going to look and all of this kind of stuff. So that's coming next week, finally, which will allow people to manage the entire network of websites from one place, and with a bunch of other really cool stuff like instant logins and like one-click login. So, and tracking the entire actions, that all of the actions that the developer is using within the WordPress website back to the centralized dashboard. So it's going to give us within the community a level of control when it comes to managing multiple websites that never happened before. That's coming next week. But today we have the graphic design approval tool that is basically kind of like InVision, if anyone knows that, but that's built into the website itself so that you can approve designs that are based on images. So if you have a new logo, or sometimes, when you build a website, the client comes back and asks for a flyer or a PDF that can help them generate some leads and all these kind of stuff. So now you can communicate with them in the same visual feedback kind of way that saves a lot of time. So that's coming today.
Nice. I wonder if, I always think this about like products like you've got, Vito, or anybody. In fact, I always think, is there ever a point where you think, I've done it, it's done, I've got all the features I need? Bugs aside, I wonder if there'll ever be a point where you go, that's it, it's built, no worries.
So there are some, yes, you can think that. And a lot of tools, that's what they do. They develop until it's reached their kind of point of acceptance, and then it's when they stop and they just do maintenance.
Yeah.
That's what competitors have done up until recently. But I want this to be the way WordPress professionals talk to clients. This is the North Star for us. So I'm looking at this as a much kind of a granular look and a much broader aspect of client communication. So there's so much to build that it's probably going to take us a couple of years to fulfill my vision of where we want this to be. And I imagine that by the time we get there, there's going to be loads more other stuff that
some new technology will have come along and so on. Thank you again. I say this every week, to Paul, to Dave, and to Vito. The words are so easy to say. I say thank you, and yet I actually really, honestly, really mean it. And it sounds even worse now that I'm saying it like that. It just sounds so hollow and completely like I'm lying, but I don't. I mean it. Thank you very much for coming on, guys, and sharing the last hour and a bit with us, and giving your wisdom to our audience. I appreciate it very much.
Pleasure to spend time with you all.
Oh, yeah, that's
brilliant.
Nice. I'm going to shut the stream down, but if you guys want to stick around for a minute, I'll just make the stream go away.
Yeah.